Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, this evening in today's podcast, we're going to be looking at what has been taking place in the preseason in a lead up to the start of the new EPL season. Now, we have a full panel this evening. Returning to the podcast, we have Carey.
Yes, viewers and subscribers, we have to, and reflect over the season and only hope for improvements. I think we all know what happened with Arsenal, so we'll bounce back. That's all. So we're excited about the upcoming
Yes,
season.
yes.
Glad to see what's happening.
We also have joining us after a long hiatus, Sugar Belly.
Greetings, viewers and subscribers. Glad to be back.
Yes, welcome. And we also have the ever-present Leon.
Happy to be back, viewers and subscribers.
Yes, gents, welcome back. We've all been on a little vacation break and, not much EPL is taking place. Well, no EPL at all. The teams went into the off season. Now the teams are back up and running. Coaches going through their paces, preseason matches taking place. We're looking on and we are waiting in anticipation of what this new season will bring. But Carey, I'm going to start with you, the man from what? Arsenal. How have you been looking at Arsenal and what can we expect going forward into this brand new season? How have the transfer window been?
Well, I must give credit to Arteta and Edu. They got business done early. From the transfers window open, they were out. They were out the block. Just like how they started last season, they were just out the blocks as soon as the transfer window was open. They made it a point of duty to. They didn't go about things in privacy, to be honest. And we haven't seen such a pragmatic and effort from Arsenal in the transfer window till this one. I think this window has been Arsenal's best window, in my opinion, for the longest while.
About that long drawn out Rice saga, was Rice good value for money? Is he really worth the price tag, or you're playing an excessive English tax on such a player?
He may have seen drugged out for person who keep trying to see what Arsenal is up to. He probably looked drugged out two guys, but for us, well, personal for me, it wasn't drugged out. $100 million deal, it's going to take time. There's a lot of negotiations in there, there's a lot of legal fees, a lot of back and forth chatter, there's a lot of things to get resolved in $100 million deal. So it's not like you go and buy a $20 million player where stamp, seal, sign, deliver. There's a lot of legalities behind it that we don't see or we don't know about it. So, to me, it was again, it was very aggressive from Arteta. They made it known that this we're going for Rice. Of course, they held out for the 100 million, so kudos to them. Is he an overpriced player? Let's see. Darwin Núñez went for what? $80 million?
So, well, but Carey, let's keep it focused on Arsenal for right now. So outside of Rice, who are the other signings which Arsenal have managed to secure thus far? The transfer window is still open, but you have Rice on the books now. Who else has Arsenal brought in?
Timber and Havertz. Noticeable.
And number 29. Number 29, Havertz.
Okay.
I really
you're looking for big things going forward then, with such big name signings, and the price tag as well.
The only big name Arsenal has really signed is Rice. Havertz a big name because he was one of the flops of last season. So how we all of us.
Some would question that signing as well. If he was such a flop, why would Arteta go out and get such a player? What could be the thinking there?
Versatility. Notice the signings that Arteta has made since the last 2 to 3 transfer windows. Look on Timber. Timber plays left back, left centre back, right back, right centre back, and I can also centre defensive mid. You know,
Mm. Multi-talented, multi-positional.
Kyria came can do the same thing. Zinchenko is there, he can play left and the centre defensive mid. So Ben White can play right back, centre back, and left back. So we see there's a versatility that is added to that defense. So
Depth, quality depth, you would say.
spending on a player who persons might consider a flop is just Arteta being just going for versatility. He can use Havertz as a false nine. He can use him on the left wing. Can put him on the right. Can put him at the number 10. So I just think that is a structure that Arteta is going for. Just versatility right across the field. So what I expect is a lot of fluid movement in the Arsenal build-up this season.
Okay. But Sugar Belly, I will bring you in at this point. I mean, you're the the Chelsea fan, the lone blue, standing against all the criticisms of last year, and you have made yourself available. So tell us, so how does Chelsea look? Oh, signings. How is the team looking in preseason?
Well, firstly, with all the outgoings, the team has been looking quite refreshed and rejuvenated. I guess there's a huge optimism surrounding us at the moment. A lot of signings coming in, a lot of players going out who most fans have been calling for them to leave. I mean, the transfer market has been excellent so far. That's the best way I could describe it with these deals, especially that Havertz to Arsenal for what
It
67.
sounds like you're doing more business in terms of getting rid of players there, Sugar Belly, than bringing in.
Yes, very exciting times. Very exciting. I mean, the incomings have been there. I mean, they haven't been that extravagant. I think these are the kinds of signings that really do well for Chelsea, especially my favorite one so far is that Nicholas Jackson signing from Villarreal. Um,
Yes, yes. Tell us more about that. Who have been the marquee signings that have come in to the team thus far? It's kind of difficult for us to keep track of all the ins and outs at Chelsea, but give us a list. Who are those which you have brought in?
uh, well, as I said earlier, I have Nicholas Jackson. There's Christopher Nkunku who was coming from, well, he has signed from, I think, last year. So those are what I'd say are the marquee signings. Differently, there are some youngsters coming in, a lot of youngsters. We see Chelsea splashing the cash on these kids. I guess that's in hope of them becoming or achieving their potential. I guess on the business side, we have the Brazilian Angelo, uh, Moreira from Benfica. I think he was freely acquired and a free. Who else? I
Whisper.
think I'm missing someone.
What about Santos?
Well, Santos has been there from January. I guess there's huge optimism surrounding him as well, especially that we're light in that midfield area. You know, they had initially wanted him to come in January, but because of work permit issues, he had to return to Brazil on loan. But he's here now, been solid this preseason. That's the best way I can put it.
Yes. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
one for
I've
the
been
future. He's
watching
one
him
to
in
watch
a few
definitely.
preseason games, and we also see Pochettino, lifting the first trophy for Chelsea there.
Yes, definitely.
That preseason cup
Albeit
yesterday.
albeit a preseason cup, I think it is a very exciting thing in a sense that last season was so horrible. It's glad to be back among the winnings currently. I think we did it and unbeaten. We didn't lose a game. I think we won 2-1 draw against Newcastle. So there's a lot of positives to take from it. Not getting ahead of things, but I like what I've seen so far, and I think it can only get better.
Indeed, definitely. There's only one direction Chelsea can really go at this point in time, finishing 12th in the league last season, the only place they can go is only up. But Leon, we'll segue over to what's taking place over there at Old Trafford, Manchester United. We see them bringing in a few key signings and also letting go of a number of key players as well. How has it been, in this off season? What have been the acquisitions and how do you see the preseason thus far?
I mean, for us, I think our signings, I think we have three so far. I think most of our signings this transfer window are transformative signings. As you look at the goalkeeper, way more comfortable on the ball
Oh,
instead
which
of
goalkeeper is that? For
Andre.
the viewers and subscribers who may not necessarily be,
They
locked in to all these movements. Who is that goalkeeper?
Andre Onana from Inter Milan. If you watch the Champions League finals, you would have seen him. We signed Mason Mount
Oh,
from
Mason
Chelsea,
Mount, that Chelsea, a former Chelsea player.
for Chelsea player. You know that Chelsea is letting go a lot of players, so we
Yeah,
had to
but
take.
Mason Mount, isn't he a player who came through the Chelsea academy, who bleeds blue?
Yeah, he did, but I think the club itself, Chelsea itself, didn't treat him properly, so he was looking to get out as quick as possible,
No,
and there
that's
was.
a shocker. He was oftentimes classified as Lampard Junior, and he is now out of Stamford Bridge. Wow.
I mean,
So,
if you check the seasons up, I think his first season officially with Chelsea was when Frank Lampard took over, and I think since he started playing for them, I think he contributed the most goals and assists combined for them. So I think it's probably wrong for wrong for Chelsea to let him go. I think he's a good player. Very. I think he had a bad season last season, but who didn't in that Chelsea team?
mm,
And as you know, the season before it was Manchester United in that position. So I know what it means to have a terrible season. I think the optimism that Alier is showing, I think it's good because they're Chelsea and we have a striker, a young striker coming. I think it's Holland or it's similar to Holland, not the same talent, but we
not the same.
Manchester
So we could see a Holland match up there. The Manchester derby should be very interesting in terms of the striker and the
negative
commentators as well. The names are very close as well as the look.
negative. I think close. I think Haaland scored 53 goals, and I think our striker has 9 goals from last
Nine.
season.
So what
Yeah, I
kind
think
of signing is that? I mean, is this money well spent? I'm hearing numbers of 70 million being touted. What's going on there? You're buying potential, or are
yeah,
you buying a player to come in now and occupy the number nine position?
I think it's both. I think it's both potential and a player that to affect the team right now. I think the 74 million that you hear spreading around it's misleading because I think officially it's 64.5 million, and then the
Advance.
add-ons will take it up to 74. And if those add-ons are met, Manchester United would be very happy because that means he performed for us to meet
Okay.
those add-ons. So yeah, I
Performance
think
incentives.
yeah, so I think it's a different signing for Manchester United because if you look over in the past few years, it's been Igalo, it's been Cristiano Ronaldo, it's been Cavani. Most of those players are 30 or 35 upwards. So it's a younger signing that can take us to the next decade if he performs well. And I think it's just the manager really wanted him and the board backed the manager thoroughly.
But Leon, with such a large financial outlay, what should be the objective for Man United come the start of the season?
I think for this season, I think it's I think it would be like a similar season to last four. Getting last season. I think getting top four is a must, and probably a trophy anyway. But what I'm looking for, especially, is like improvements. I think we need to see a better style of play, more control in those games. And even last season, we didn't perform well in those big away matches. So that's what I'm looking for, really.
You don't sound too optimistic there, Leon. Is there any hope of Manuel lifting the title? I mean, that's why the teams all participate. Is there any hope of that, or
I
what's
mean,
the percentage chance you would give United to win the EPL this season?
I mean, it's not optimism. I think it's realism. I think
Mm.
the gap that City and Arsenal showed last season, plus we are not the only one making signings. So I think it's possible, and I think we'll give a good account of ourselves. But at this point, I don't think we should give put that pressure on the team to significantly jump that many levels. I think it's a building process. If you look at City, I think Pep has been there probably 5 years or more. Arteta is going into his fifth season, and Ten Hag, this is only his second season. So we're looking for top four is a must, and I think we can get a trophy because Ten Hag says no friendly. No game is a friendly, so most likely every cup match he'll start a team that he's expected to win. And seeing that approach, we got into two finals last year.
Yes,
I think
indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, you definitely looking to push on. And of course, the rivalry with Liverpool should continue next season as well. I mean, Liverpool totally revamping their midfield
and
by
losing so
force, I would say. You know, the big money from Saudi Arabia have come in and have really, I would say, further decimated the Liverpool midfield. Captain Henderson gone, Fabinho gone.
gone.
You
Just
know, so it's a completely transformed Liverpool midfield entering this season. Of course, I would say two quality signings, McAllister and Sabole coming in you know, should be starters, I would say. But of course, we have the youngsters coming to the fore as well. Players such as Elliott, players such as Jones. The Liverpool academy is really churning out some quality talent there.
academy.
So
Liverpool.
it should be quite competitive in the midfield for Liverpool. And of course, we saw
Stop it.
Van
Van
Agenda.
Dijk.
Van Dijk now assuming the captain's armband with the trusty Lieutenant Trent Arnold-Alexander by his side as well. So Liverpool definitely shoring up the leadership in the team. Leaders oftentimes are said to be born and not necessarily coached. And you can definitely see that Van Dijk and Trent are two of those standout players that should be leading from the front come next season. So the preseason results are subpar, At this point in time, I feel Klopp as a coach is just focusing on getting the players fit, getting them up to speed and not necessarily focusing on the result. However, my concern for Liverpool is really in the defense. In the preseason and indeed last season, they were leaking goals like a sieve. And I don't see that changing much this year as well. Oftentimes, the blame was placed at the foot of the midfielders. But I think that was just papering over the cracks in the defensive line. Van Dijk is getting on in age. Still a good defender, but not the Van Dijk of old. Trent, based on just the way Klopp has him playing, is always going to be a defensive liability there at the right back position because he's so attacking. And that is how this Liverpool team plays. And of course, a rotating partner around Van Dijk, no consistency. Sometimes it's Matip, sometimes it's Kanate, and of course,
Gomez.
Alisson with an error here or there is always possible also. So for me, the fear for Liverpool, unless they make, I would say, another two quality signings, one of which should be at the centre back position and possibly another quality midfielder that can add depth and possibly a bit of experience as well, then I feel this Liverpool team is going to struggle defensively. Goals are in the team, goals will always come, There is still Salah. Nunes is just entering into into form, once he can be consistent and not injured, oftentimes he was injured last season or even carrying a knock, but yet his goal production was still there and the chances he managed to create were still there. So once he can remain fit, I expect 20 plus goal from Nunes. Salah is always going to be putting in his share of the goals as well. So from an attacking point of view, I have no fear. But defensively, that's where my concern is. And of course, oftentimes, champions, when you look at the champions over the last few seasons, they have not only have they managed to score a lot of goals, but they have managed to keep a lot of clean sheets and keep the goal tallies down. So a lot of work, I would say, for Liverpool to do at this stage. At this point in time, I don't see them winning the EPL, not with the team they have now and the rebuilding process that has on his hands. But I feel they should be competitive. Somewhere in the top eight, they should find themselves. But definitely not winning the league anytime soon, in my opinion. Carey, what says you? That statement seemed to surprise you quite a bit.
A lot of stuff you said surprised me quite a bit.
Yeah, as Leon said, we're just keeping it real. It doesn't make sense. You get all carried away. We know how this league is, and we see the sort of money being spent and the sort of quality being brought in by various teams. I mean, no one is expecting Chelsea to finish 12th again. Not with the amount of money they have invested in the team, and they are getting rid of much, if not all, of the dead wood that you could identify last season. I mean, Arsenal, Rice, 100 plus million, Havertz, Timber, and of course, Manu bringing in a ball playing goalkeeper. Now you're looking to build from the back, so you should see an improvement in Manu, especially in their possession-based football. Oftentimes last season against the bigger teams, Manu was more like a counter-attacking team. Now we're seeing where they are building from the back, in that they now have a quality ball playing goalkeeper. They now have centre backs who are comfortable on the ball. And you have left back in the likes of Luke Shaw, and quality midfielders coming through the four, the Bruno Fernandes, the Mason Mounts, players who can control the tempo of the game and take control in terms of possession. And of course, the speed merchants up front, Rashford, Garnacho, and a potential Martial, if he gets that nod up front. But who to tell? We will definitely see how this season unfolds, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. We are now a few weeks away from the start. The season kicks off on Friday, August 11th. Man City versus Burnley. That should be a sumptuous game as well. So, the countdown begins. But Kerry, coming back over to you in terms of Arsenal, what's your expectation for this Arsenal team? I mean, with all that you've seen, the experience now that the players should have in terms of a title race, can Arsenal do it again and go one step further?
I see Arsenal in the top three.
So you don't see Arsenal winning the league?
In the top three.
No, man, that's not the question. The question is, do you see Arsenal finish second last season? Can Arsenal win the league this season? Should we expect Arsenal to win the league this season?
Should we expect them, but they do have a chance to win the league.
So what percentage would you put on that chance? 25%, 50%, 50-50? What say you?
50-50. It's still in City's favor. I would say I'll give them a 35%.
So you're saying they should be the closest contender to a Man City then, based on what you have seen thus far in the preseason?
Yeah, man. Because as we said, don't get me wrong. The only team I think that should challenge City and Arsenal is Chelsea.
Chelsea. That's rather shocking with all these new players coming in, not much chemistry. This is the EPL, Kerry. This isn't a farmers league, We hear Sugar Belly mentioning, for example, Nicholas Jackson. This will be his first season in the league. He's no Haaland. We're not expecting Jackson to be banging in goals left, right, and center. He's going to take time to acclimatize and get comfortable with the physicality and pace of the league. Chelsea, challenge for title. Come on, man. Let's be realistic like Leon.
No. You see, we don't play in what Chelsea is doing, but remember, we always talk about this whole new manager bounce and all of these things.
Yeah, but that's when a manager gets fired. Pochettino is now working with the players for what? All of the preseason. That new manager bounce rub off in the preseason already.
Long time.
possess right now. I believe the quality they possess right now, and I didn't say, they would challenge for first. I said the team that I think would be closest to Arsenal and
City,
City.
by extension.
Remember, last year United was the team closest to City and Arsenal, but they're
Right.
yeah. So
So,
don't tweet.
so Sugar Belly, we hear Carey? Do you share such a sentiment, Sugar Belly, as a lone Chelsea man?
Well, we can't rule it out well, as a Chelsea fan personally, I wouldn't rule it out. We've seen it in the past, albeit under different circumstances, where we had a poor season and really had a special season the following year. So,
Yes,
in
but
terms of
we're not ruling
reality,
it out, Sugar. But is this your feeling? What say you? What is your true view
personally,
on this?
personally, my expectations for Chelsea this season would have been to challenge for the top four, especially seeing that where we don't have European football. So I think we can do a lot of
That's a
work
week.
on the training ground and get it right on the weekend. So that's
Mm,
one area where I think Poch should show that quality. I think he has as a manager. He has made a lot of talks already. So let's see how he can get this Chelsea team firing as soon as possible. That opening game should be a real test, in my
yes,
opinion, of
Liverpool should
where,
take that one easily, in my opinion.
yes, that game should really bring things to reality in
Yes,
terms of
man.
where both
Liverpool
teams are at.
versus Chelsea.
Because even I heard you mentioning that Liverpool defense is like a sieve, but
Yeah,
if this preseason, if you take it into account, has done none of these defenses any justice because all of the games have been high
high
scoring
scoring.
so far.
Mm,
Two of the teams I've seen who look very poor defensively would have been a Aston Villa or a Brentford. I think they are leaking goals.
or a Fulham as
Um,
well.
so we see Arsenal concede goals against Barca. So it's hard to tell where the defense is going. I think Arsenal played another game again where there were so many defensive errors. So
Yes,
it's
yes,
Man
I
United.
recall
early
Gabriel
times.
kicking and missing in
So
one of
I think
those.
it's hard to call uh, defense into play at this point. So let us see. Back to Chelsea now.
Yes.
In terms of us being a challenger, as I said, the only thing that I see working in our advantage would be the lack of European football. But otherwise, I am staying grounded. I think a fight for the top four, not saying that we'll get it, but we should be back among the top eight, as you mentioned earlier. So that's my
Yeah, plus my
expectation for the
concern for Chelsea as
season.
well is a lack of Premier League experience.
Experience, yes,
Yeah, I
experience is one
mean,
of the main things, and even Pochettino has been talking about it so far. He mentioned it a few times, and we have seen where the incomings haven't changed. We haven't seen more experienced players coming in. They are still signing youngsters or players that are, say, under 23. So let us see if the youngsters can do it, but I think it would take something really special. In terms of an outside challenger to Man City and Arsenal, though, I
mm,
think in
uh,
terms
it,
of
it,
what
it,
has been at play so far, for me personally, I'd say it's Manchester United once again. Um, Ten Hag now, I think, has instigated the whole thing. He has a new goalkeeper now, a new young fresh striker coming in to help the Rashford and the Martials. I think
Garnacho
Garnacho
also
is
looking
a
to get
player
a
who,
starting berth as well.
yes, I think Garnacho is one to watch a youngster going forward. And differently, I see Manchester United as one of the more solid teams. That midfield now looks very
Yeah,
impressive.
experience,
A
quality
Casemiro,
experience as well.
Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes,
And Casemiro as well. Don't forget
Eriksen is
Casemiro.
still there. So definitely, I think they are one of the teams that we should
And
keep an
Maguire is still
eye
there
on.
also in the defense.
I think
Um,
that
one thing to add, I think Manchester United also needs to get rid of some of their deadwood, the Scott
Mm,
McTominay's, Fred, Maguire. So
okay.
let us see
Yeah,
how.
the transfer window is still open. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
if these
definitely.
transfers, can generate some funds and then reinvest that funds into some other quality players, then I would not rule Manu out. I definitely think Manu will not be our pushover this season. But Leon, as the Manu man, what say you? What can we expect? Can Manu dethrone Man City?
I agree with Ali. I think we will be challenging for the title. I don't think we'll win it, but I think we should be much closer than we were last year. And as you said about the Deadwood, I think Fred will leave this summer for sure. I think
What about Van de
Galatasaray is.
Beek, Leon? Van de Beek has been at Deadwood for what, 4, 5, 6 years now, and he's still there. So was Jones. Jones was on the Man U books for what, about 10 years without even kicking a ball. So I'm not too
I think,
confident in that.
but Van der Beek was there for 3 years, and I think Real Sociedad is in talks to sign him. I think they want him. I think Fred.
Leon, we've heard this season in, season out. Van de Beek out. Van de Beek going on loan to Everton. But
No,
yet he
Rafa.
returns to Man U. I think he's
No,
just
no.
gonna see out his contract at United.
I think you're mistaking him for someone else. I think this is Van der Beek's third season. I think the first season he didn't play well. I think the second season he went on loan to Everton. I think the third season, no, this is where it gets tricky
No, no,
because
no. I think this is his fourth season, Leon. Last season, Van der Beek have seen every single coach since Ole and still cannot secure a spot consistently in the team. I mean, the writing is on the wall. Take the hint.
I mean, I agree with you in the sense that I think he has to leave, but I think he's been unlucky. I think Ole didn't trust him enough, and
But
I
Ole is
think
the one who signed him, Leon.
not signed him. I think the board. I think he can't sign him.
Ah.
I think the board gave Ole that player because you can't sign a player, Rafa. You can't go to the board and say sign me this, sign me this player and don't play him. Not at all.
But that is exactly what happened. Ole
No,
sanctioned.
that's why
Ah.
that's why that's why the Man United board got Ole because they know that he was a yes man. He's a legend of the club that wanted to be there. He didn't earn his spot. So most of the things that the board wanted, he went just like the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo.
I see, I
That
see.
signing was placed on him and and he lost his job because of it. And I
So,
think
so, so currently now, Leon, Ten Hag is the one making the signings. Just to be clear, it's not the
I no,
board.
I think
It's Ten Hag.
no, he has a much more say than Ali. I think that was one of the main reason why when he was taking the job, I think he went to the board and said if I don't have this amount of say in the transfer, I won't take the job. And I
Okay.
think that was very crucial into because as you can see, most of his signings, Anthony, Martinez, Onana, most of these players are players that have played with Ten Hag. So you can
Right,
see that
right.
clearly it's
These
it's
are
his
Ten Hag
choice.
type players, so to speak.
He coached them. Most if
Right,
you
right.
look, I
Right,
think
when
the
he was
o-
at Ajax.
think the only player that we signed since Ten Hag is there that he hasn't coached is
Casemiro.
Casemiro and we Casemiro and the left back Malacia, and he played against that left back in the Dutch league. So I
Right,
think
right.
he has a lot to say on the signings. I think Van der Beek will go. He should go because World Cup is going. His career has been down since
Highly
he went
doubted,
to.
though, Leon. Highly doubt it.
Well, let's see. Only time will tell.
Time will
But
tell, indeed.
yeah, I think we should be challenging much closer. I think it's 1 year into the program. I think the players are much more comfortable in what he's asking for. I think the preseason, I think we lost against Real Madrid. We lost against Dortmund yesterday. But you can see that the ideas plus the new signings, we're shaping up to be a much better side, and we should have a better home away results because our home results was great last year, but the away results what really was it really hurt us, let's say, and I think that should be a better season in that sense.
Yes, indeed. Let's hope it's a better season and, Man U can definitely push for a title challenge. But I wish we had more time. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to dissect, a lot to break down, but we will do it again when we take a look at the other teams which you could say finish in the top eight last season. Of course, Chelsea got an honorable mention, finishing outside the top, not only the top eight, but the top 10, finishing all the way down there in mid-table 12th. But they have been a big name, so to speak, team over the period. So we decided to give them some airtime, and of course Sugar Belly is present, the defender of the Blues over there at Stamford Bridge. But viewers and subscribers, I'd just like to thank you again for tuning to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Carey, Sugar Belly, Leon, again, my thanks goes out for coming on and sharing your opinions and also your thoughts. We hope to do it again very soon. As I mentioned, we should be looking at the other teams which finish in the top eight. But viewers and subscribers, thank you again for continuing to support the channel. Please remember to share and like, and also comment. Leave your comment as to where you think your team will finish in the upcoming season of the EPL. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.